What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about LTCN, BCHG, and HZEN today at the request of Flower Child and Brian M. Hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. For those of you who have requested Grayscale Trust and or other charts that you want me to talk about, to do TA on, and I haven't tended to them, I promise you, I have them recorded, I have them documented. I do completely intend to take care of them. But I have a huge list. So I'm going in the list in the order that they were requested. Okay, so I have not forgotten about you. I will tend to them over the coming days. Okay, not tonight, but over the coming days. Or maybe tonight. I don't know. It depends, you know. Brian M. and Flower Child are getting hit. And I've got some stocks that I need to talk about as well. But enough of whatever this is. So hit that like button. Let's get going, guys. Let's do what we're all here for, right? Let's do some technical analysis. 1083 is where Litecoin's at now. I do not like its daily RSI. It's disgusting. But to be completely fair, if you're looking at it for what it's worth, right? It is disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Well, that's not the best line to draw. Something like that, right? You are absolutely in a downward channel. Absolutely. But fortunately enough, you can't go below the zero. You can't. You just can't. Which at the most would then imply that you have one more drive probably down. I'm not saying I think that you have one more drive. I'm just saying at the most you would likely only have one more drive down, and then you'd break out probably to the upside, right? Because you're not going to go up here and then just like, you know, you could, but probably not, right? And likely, in my opinion, you're already at the end of this channel. Generally speaking, when you get this deep into your oversold zone and you're in a prolonged channel like this very well could have been your last lower low. I'm not saying you can't go back in the oversold zone, but perhaps you form a higher low, you get some bullish divergence going. Maybe you don't even do that at all, and you keep working your way up. But I would expect that your next interaction with this area up here, maybe you don't break through it immediately, maybe you do. Maybe you find resistance there and you consolidate and then you move up, you know, who knows? But I do think that you are done progressing this channel. That's my personal opinion. If I'm wrong, again, one more drop, that's all you've got. This channel will break out at one point. It is very disgusting, but on the bright side of this disgusting channel of how bad your RSI looks, this is one of those few times when the RSI can look bad like this and have a light at the end of the tunnel, because you are quite literally at the end of the tunnel, in my opinion. So, and this is on the daily chart, so this would imply over a shorter amount of time you'll see that light, hopefully sooner than later. I'm pretty convinced that that's the low there, right? A lot of volume came in there on that low. Very deep in the oversold zone there. If we're looking at it on a weekly basis, the weekly RSI would suggest that you have a little bit lower to go as well. That doesn't mean that you have to go lower than that low, but it would suggest that you close lower than the current price. You don't have to get oversold. You don't have to, but just generally speaking, you normally do. But this chart, it's a different chart. You know, we haven't really experienced. We don't have too much data to go off of. It doesn't have to get oversold, and you're at your 123 weekly moving average too, so I do like that. Kind of got like a double bottom, kind of. I wouldn't call it a double bottom, but finding support in an area of support back here, I like that, and the 123 weekly moving average as well. I'm just trying to figure out what heading I want to give it, because at the moment, just being completely unbiased, I kind of do think it would move down. I wonder if you will get like a true double bottom. I wonder if you'll get like some kind of quick move down and then up. You'll get this like perfect little double bottom shape and then move out of here. I guess what I'm getting to is I wouldn't be surprised if LTCN moved back below $10. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be too surprised if it moved below this low either, but I'm not calling for that. I'm not expecting that personally. But don't be thrown off if that happens, right? If we look at the weekly time frame, we go from the overall low, the cycle low, which had a double bottom there as well, low to high. You know, maybe you could go all the way down to $7. It's possible. And you're at 1083 now. 1083 to $7 is not as bad as $54 to 954 or 925. But a little bit more could be in store. It is possible. Be open to that, right? Be accepting of that. Don't be scared of it, because if you are, and that happens, if you shit your pants down here, you're literally gonna miss. You're gonna miss all the upside, right? You're gonna sell the bottom, and perhaps we already have hit the bottom. You know, it's hard. It's really hard to say. We don't have enough to go off of to confirm it one way or another. At this moment, I'm doing something that I don't normally do, which is calling for a double bottom. I don't normally do that, right? And a double bottom can look like this. It can be precise It can be very precise. It can be a slightly higher low. It can be a slightly lower low. Just because you go lower doesn't mean you're going all the way to $10, right? But that is what I'm calling for. And I could be wrong. I could very well be wrong, right? I could be wrong in the sense that it goes down. I could be wrong in the sense that it goes up. We won't know. It's very indecisive price action right now. And the RSI does look weak. It wouldn't be crazy to go back into the oversold zone. That's kind of what I led with, right? Looking at the 3-hour RSI, you are wrestling with the 50. You are staying above the 40. This is neutral, but I kind of like the way it looks. It almost would suggest that you would go up here. I'd want to see how you interact with this 60 area. Do you reject it? If so, you might be doing that lower move that I was talking about. Do you get above it? If so, then maybe I'm wrong and you move higher. But do you even get above the 50? You know, that remains to be seen. It's very neutral. It's kind of hard to say. So at the moment with LTCN, I just say patience, perfect time to DCA. Even if it moves to $7, perfect time to DCA. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if it moved down and did some kind of double bottom. Time will tell. With the way it looks right now, based off the fibs, I would expect that you move down to about 984 to 956, just based off the fibs, right? And that'll probably happen in a shorter amount of time than what I have drawn here, right? It'll probably happen quicker. But if I'm wrong on that, you know, or if that's based off the fibs, but what I'm expecting again is something more of like a double bottom. And I think an 886, a move down to the 886 could be some kind of like slightly higher low double bottom. Maybe you wick. I'd love to see a wick below the 886 and then a close above it. That would be really nice to see. I wouldn't like to see a close below the 886 because generally speaking, when you close below the 886, I am bullish or bearish to the continued extensions, which would then again, you know, we have anything from 856 to 775, maybe even lower to come into play. But in no time at all, we will be moving up again, you guys. It's just a matter of time. If we look at the underlying asset, right, LTC USD, you know, it looks pretty bad actually right now too. It looks pretty beat up, definitely weak as well, and it could move down. It could move down a little bit well. So that actually might give us more of a foretelling of what's to come. I could see LTC moving down to 60.35. You're at 63 now, so that's like 5% or so, not even 5%, maybe even all the way down to 56. And if it does do that, you know, you could absolutely see LTCN drop even below this low here. So it just depends on what the underlying asset does. And I'm not really confident too much. I guess I would call for it to go at least to $60.35, at least there, which would then imply that LTCN will probably go lower as well. So we'll see. Time will tell. I know it's a very indecisive analysis, guys, but at this moment I'm calling for a double bottom. That's what I'm sticking with. Just don't be surprised if you do see a lower low. Don't be surprised, right? And yes, that $7 area is a call that I've laid out. Doesn't mean it has to happen. It's just something to be aware of, right? That's kind of like your worst case scenario. $8.60 could be an area as well. Showing resistance on the 1618, you could find support on the 2618. You know, maybe you don't see $7. Maybe you go somewhere in between and go to 860. But we'll see. Time will tell. Not enough for me to be convinced that this is the low just yet. Okay. I would love to be wrong. I would love to. It is. Nobody likes being wrong. I would love to be wrong. I really would, but time will tell. Time will tell. BCHG is the next one. We'll type in BCH up here. Shout out to the Dragon Riders. Let's see. Neutral as well. I'm expecting a little bit of a flash crash down for BCH as well. So BCHG, with that in mind, I would think BCHG could actually see a lower low. From a low point here to that high point there. Nice reactions off your 618 area though. Based off the fibs, I wouldn't expect that you close below 550, 549. You could move below there, but I wouldn't expect that you close below there. I mean, watch you do some kind of like crazy wick all the way down here and then close back up here. I don't think so, but at any rate, I would expect BCHG does move down. My prediction for this one would be 569 to 549, somewhere in that area. Just based off the fibs, but based off of what I'm expecting from this, I don't think that it's going to have like a lower low. I just think that it is going to see some kind of flash crash down to that 310, 300 area, somewhere around this zone right here. And with that, that is an over 10% drop in BCH, right? Yeah, I think so, which could imply an over 10% drop in BCHG or more, right? And at that rate, I mean, you really could see 480. 480 could come in. You could fill the gap, and then up. That 1414 area is something to mention as well. And then the 1618, I don't know. 425 to 480, I think, is something to address, definitely. Based off the fibs, I wouldn't expect it, but that goes out the window if you close a day below 549. So if you close below 549, absolutely 480 to 425 is on the table. But as of now, nonetheless, I am calling for it to go lower. 569 to 549 is the target area, and if 549 does not hold, you can wick below it and it still holds, but if you close below it, it's no longer holding. Then we're talking about prices at 480, 425, something like that. And absolutely, I think that it's going to recover. You guys, I'm not worried about the Grayscale Trust at all. I very much do think that they have higher highs to go. I had somebody in the comments, I forget who it was, but it was like a week and a half ago. They were saying, based off of my predictions for BCH, there's no way that BCHG could see new all-time highs where I'm talking about them going to. But they were doing direct percentage growths, right? They didn't include the fact that like BCHG, first off, right, first and foremost, and whoever you are, I hope you're watching this. I don't remember who you are, but whoever you are, I hope you're watching this so you can incorporate this in your analysis. I don't mind being questioned. I'm not attacking you. I didn't feel attacked, so I hope you don't feel attacked. I'm trying to enlighten you, if anything, right? Just as you were trying to enlighten me, right? That's all it is. So looking at this chart, from a low point in December, the end of December 2022 to the high point, BCHG has moved up 75, almost 76x. Okay, that's what 7,500. When it's at a 100% growth, that's 2x. So at the hundreds, you always add an extra x to it. So it would look like a 74.7x. Really, it's a 75.7x. Okay, 75.7x. BCH itself, in that same amount of time, December. Well, I guess we'll even go earlier than that, right? From its actual cycle low. Come on, man. Right there to the high that we've had so far. It's had an 8x. 8x, 75x, almost a 76x. 8x. So you know what I mean? So if BCH does what I think it's going to do, which I'm hoping it's going to do, which is move up to, you know, at least what I'm expecting is a 23, or not at least. The least that I'm expecting is 13,000, is a 37x, almost a 38x from here, if not up to 23K, which is about a 66x. So 66x to a 37x, then BCHG itself is not going to move up 37x to a 66x. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm. And I don't even know, the person that commented this, they were making the argument that it wouldn't even see new all-time high. So I don't know if it sees that. Like, I don't know how you could make that argument. But then also going off the numbers completely, right? A 37x would put it at 230. It's not gonna. And the thing is too, actually, something to consider that I am doing wrong right now is putting this price in correspondence with the BCHG top. They're likely not going to top at the same price. BCHG will likely top beforehand. So let's cut it down a little bit. Maybe 13K is where Bitcoin Cash is by the time BCHG tops off. Maybe, right? Because this is the minimum expectation. I do think it could go to 23K. But let's cut it in half. Let's say it's only at just below 3,000 here. Let's say it sees an 8x from here, an 8x from here. Well, BCHG, based off of, I mean, it's literally seen like a 10x in overall growth compared to BCH. But let's not do a 10x. Let's do a 5x versus this. So instead of a 700, right, because it's seen an 8.2x, where this has seen a 75x, right? Pretty close, pretty damn close. Not quite a 10x, I guess, right? But pretty damn close. Let's just say we see a 4x in comparison, okay? 720%. And the reason why I'm putting this is just a random number, but I would certainly expect that by the time BCHG tops off, by the time it finds its cycle high, I would expect that BCH is at least at these levels, right? That's my personal expectation. I feel like I'm doing that as like a safe bet, right? We literally went from a 37x all the way down to an 8x, right? So like I feel like I'm being conservative. I'm not blowing air into anything, right? I feel like it makes sense, right? I'm taking prices from not even new all-time highs perspective, but just a new high based on the last cycle's perspective. I don't know. A 7.2x, maybe we can even cut it in half. Let's cut it in half even more. Let's be even more pessimistic. Let's do a 350x or a 350% move, a 4.5x. 4.5x. If BCHG does 4x times that, which it's already done around a 10x, let's say like an 8 to 10x. Let's cut that in half and just do a 4x. Okay, 4.5x times 4 is about 18x. That's an 18x, right? So then that would imply that BCHG itself sees new all-time highs, at least new all-time highs. And I swear, whoever it was, you know who you are. Your comment was that it wouldn't even see new all-time highs based off of my price predictions. I'm going not even off of my price predictions. I'm going off of the most pessimistic, bearish, not even the most pessimistic bearish outcome, right? I'm talking about higher highs from here, but not as bullish as I realistically expect it to be. I see no scenario, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Even with more downside to come, even with the PP sales, I see no scenario where BCHG does not see new all-time highs. I would be so thrown off. It would be unexpected, in my opinion, if this thing did not see new all-time highs. That's my genuine expectation. Okay, and here's one more thing, just based off of the long-term fibs that should hopefully make people feel a little bit more safe, is that we tore through the 618 on the first attempt. We are below it now. That does diminish the likelihood of seeing these extensions. I'm not going to lie, but tearing through it still does up the likelihood as well. So it's not as likely as it could have been if you held that 618 area. I really would have liked to see that, but that's okay. 423 at the 0.5 there as well. But really, long story short, what it all comes down to is this 886. If you can close above $31 on any given week, I would be, and it's actually $31.50. If you can close above there on any given week, without a shadow of a doubt, without a shit of a fart, man, $234, $490. Beyond that, it's inevitable, in my opinion. I'm very much not worried. And this doesn't just go for BCHG. This goes for LTCN too. I very much do believe that both of them will see new all-time highs. I incorporated it in this aspect because it came on this chart, not the LTCN chart, because it just came up. It came to mind. But enough of that. You know, I gave you the short-term analysis. I told you where it's going to go, and I went off on a whole tangent there. So let's finish this up with HZEN, Grayscale Horizen Trust. Looking at the relative low here to the relative high. At your 382 area, I mean, I like it, man. I do like it. Let's look at ZEN. Let's see what it's doing there. ZEN USD. Right, like I even went. I was gonna do. I'm more than confident that you'll see around 3K by the time that BCHG is at its all-time highs, right? I'm more than confident in that. I cut it in half. I went from a 37x to an 8.2x down to a 3 or a 4.5x. Like, you can't tell me that I'm trying to just paint a fairy tale here, right? I'm genuinely trying to just like not even above this high, right? I very much do expect that BCHG will be at I very much do expect that BCH will see new highs here, and I think that BCHG will not top off by the time that we see these new highs. But I was even, again, even more pessimistic than that, right? I'm trying to be level, and even when I'm being level in a very conservative way, there's just no scenario where I don't see these trusts seeing new all-time highs. Okay, that's and I mean that. I genuinely mean that. Enough. I said it was enough the first time. I mean it this time. And I don't own any Grayscale trusts. I don't personally own any. Right? I'm not just saying this out of a biased reason. I'm saying I'm strictly analytical here. Why don't you own any Grayscale trusts? You think it's going to do so well? Why don't you own any? I've said this so many times. I'm going to say it again. I feel safer owning the underlying asset than I do owning a derivative of any kind, not just Grayscale Trust, of any kind, right? Derivatives, which a Grayscale Trust is a derivative of the underlying assets, are always more risky. Always. Doesn't matter what it is, they're always more risky. They pay off more. A lot of derivatives can pay off more. They can also lose more. That's part of it, right? But with higher reward comes higher risk. That's just how it is. So why do I not own Grayscale Trust? Because I feel safer owning the underlying asset instead of owning the paper asset. This is crypto. This is the first time that we are able to own the underlying asset and not own it on paper, like actually own it. And not physically, but ethereally own it, right? And it's basically the same thing. I feel safer doing that, right? Nothing that the company Grayscale could do, nothing that the human beings that run Grayscale could mess up, screw up, and I doubt they would. I think Grayscale is a safe derivative to invest in for what it's worth. But it's not as safe as the underlying asset. There's no argument that could be made that could convince me that it is. And if you're arguing that, I think your head's up your ass. But that's why I own the underlying assets and not the Grayscale Trust. I full-heartedly expect the Grayscale Trust to far outperform the underlying assets from here on to the end of their runs, right? But I've learned my lesson the hard way with derivatives in all kinds of forms. I stay away from them. That's just that's my own philosophy. That's my own way of going about it. That doesn't mean I don't believe, I meant every word I said earlier that I think the Grayscale Trusts are going to see new all-time highs. I meant that. But again, more risk, more reward, less risk, less reward. I'm putting money in that matters to me, that will change my life, that will change my family's lives, has changed my life, has changed my family's lives, and will only continue to do so. I don't want to be risky with that. Why be risky with it when I can still see crazy gains that'll do me just fine, right? So enough of my own stuff, man. I keep saying enough, but third time is the charm. So let's get going. 283 is where you're at right now, HZEN. I want to look at Zen on the actual crypto trust chart. Horizon here. Let's see. And that's the thing too, man. With Grayscale Trusts, there is that human element. With the crypto, there are developers. There's a human element there as well, but it's dramatically lessened. It's not even close to the same. HZEN looking kind of good, neutral, very neutral, but looking like it would want to go up. I think, yeah, oh yeah, looking like it wants to go up as the days go on. I think you're going to see prices at 920. You're at 841 right now. Might be working your way up to that $12 and above area. I like it. I do like it. Yeah. You might over the next day to 5 day period, you might see some kind of like down move, but not before moving up. I bet you move like up here. You could move down. Maybe you move all the way back down to your 236. It's a very normal thing to do. And in that time, you could see HZEN go down as well. But I would expect, I mean, what's this week? Let's see. This week is down 22% for HZEN. This week is up 8.8% right now. I remember Brian M. You were asking what's going. I think it was you that was asking what's going on with these. Let me just make sure. I'm gonna go through here. Brian, where you at? Where you at, Brian? Oh, maybe not. Okay. Brian M., you were asking about LTCN and BCHG too. Somebody else was asking about HZEN. I remember reading the comments and I screenshotted it, but this was on a YouTube comment, not on the Discord. They were asking what's going on, and they probably are asking about HZEN is what I remember, because HZEN is like the only one, right? It's 8%. Zen, the underlying asset, is up 8.8% this week, and HZEN is down 22%. What's going on is probably just the fear of the private placement sales coming into play here, right? And not even the fear, the reality. We're at the point now. For me, it's the 22nd. It's the 23rd of August for most people that are probably watching this video. They've been out for like a week now, right? And there's more private placement sales going. Again, talking about the risks of owning an underlying asset versus the derivative. They can't make private placement sales for the underlying crypto asset, but they can for the trust, right? The humans can do that, so and they do that they to make themselves more profitable, right? To make themselves money, but they lock it up. There's a period where it's locked up, and they use that money hopefully to reinvest in their trusts or in the underlying asset and attribute that to their trust, so that the underlying value of this can go up as well. Hopefully, right? Hopefully they're not just pocketing it, and I don't think they are, but I hope that makes sense, and if it doesn't, don't even worry about it. All I'm trying to say is I don't think that HZEN is broken. I don't think any of these Grayscale trusts are broken. I think that there is some selling pressure coming on from the private placement sales. I think that we've expected that. I've said that candidly since we first heard about it, since Ethan went off and blew his top, dude. And every reason to be, right? And every single one of you, every reason to be upset for these private placement sales. But it is legal for them to do, and that is part of the risk that you run with these trusts, right? But ever since then, I have been saying that I don't think that this will affect the growth of the stocks or of the trusts. I do think that they will continue to grow. I don't think that this inhibits them from seeing new all-time highs. And maybe it does to a certain degree. But even at the same time, I 100% would expect that there is going to be selling pressure with these, because anytime you have a lockup, I don't care if it's crypto, I don't care if it's stocks, I don't care if it's whatever it is. In my experience, and I've been doing this for over 7 years now, guys, anytime there's a lockup, when things are unlocked, there's always selling pressure. Always. You're always going to see some kind of dump, sometimes smaller, sometimes larger, like whatever. But this is probably exactly what is the reason, the cause behind this, why the underlying assets aren't doing as bad as these ones are. And some of the underlying assets like BCH and LTC, they've not done as well, right? But ZEN has been pretty neutral, but HZEN is in the shitter in comparison, right? Like look at this downtrend compared to just this sideways trend here, right? Higher lows here, lower lows on lower lows here, probably because of the private placement sales, probably. The PP sales, the PP poo-poo sales. I don't like the weekly RSI, I gotta say. Enough beating around the bush, enough of the philosophy, enough of the talking, enough of the enoughs. You had this beautiful trend up, right? And you can only go so high. You can only go to 100, right? That's as high as you can go. You got close enough there, so that should have been the sign, obviously, that you were gonna break this trend, and then breaking that trend there did inhibit you a little bit. You are seeing the correction. But this chart overall is really bullish, in my opinion. It's very bullish. No volume. Where's the volume? Where is it? It's not there. You're moving down without volume. You moved up with a lot of volume. This looks like a bull flag to me. I have the utmost confidence that HZEN is going to recover phenomenally from here. I'm not the most confident that it won't go below this 382 again. It could. I don't think you're going to go below this 0.5. I don't even know if you're going to go below that low there. We'll kind of go over that, but I wouldn't be surprised if we went lower from here. But nonetheless, I do think you'll recover in time, right? In time, probably when the rest of the market rallies. You do have, inversely to what I was saying about the weekly RSI having that uptrend, you do have a downtrend now in your daily RSI, right? With your lower highs, and you could, I don't know if it's like this or if it's like this and you kind of fell out of it here, whatever, maybe it's more like that there. But you are probably coming to the end of this downtrend as well. Maybe you have as much as one more move down and that's it. Maybe this next move down is a higher low and you get some bullish divergence. If it is a higher low in the RSI, I still would expect you get a lower low on a closing basis. I don't know why it did the text there. On a closing basis. At this point in time, let's see, from a low point here to a high point here. 618, you tipped it today. That's nice. It's not the best reaction, but hey, that's a nice wick. It's about like half the size of that candle body. That's not bad. Not a lot of volume though, you know. Moving down, not a lot of volume. I'm curious. I actually want to go through and analyze this downtrend real quick. Okay, I don't normally do this, but I'm not as familiar with HZEN, and it's been a while, so I owe it to you guys, right? 618 rejected, down. Okay, classic, right? Beautiful. 618. Hey, you're showing respect on that 618. That's something to note. High to low, and you normally do. Look at that, beautiful. 618 again. 618, beautiful. Down, down. Yes, yes. And then I just want to see the extension actually. You showed significance here even. You went through it, but you still held it for a little bit. Little consolidation there. 1618. 1272. Ooh. As long as HZEN does not close a day below a 229, I wouldn't even like to see it get below 229. As long as it doesn't do that, I have faith that it won't go lower. If it does, you're probably going to $1.95, maybe $1.56, maybe as low as $1.27. I don't know if I expect that, $1.27. Let's see. What is that? How does that play out in your relative fibs here? Low to high. Yeah, okay. I would think I think $1.80 would hold. I don't think you're going to interact with that 618 area. I personally don't think you'll interact with that. So if you're going to $1.27, you would absolutely go to $1.20. There's no reason why you wouldn't. Maybe the reason could be this is a low liquidity asset. so it doesn't need to obey the rules as much, right? It's a little bit more flexible, but I digress. You're in a position where you could be productive. You broke above your 886, you didn't get above your 618, and that's okay. You're back below your 100, which does put you in the position to either see a lower low or give you a position to be productive. So it would be nice if you could get back above this 100 area, which is at $3.29. If you get above there, it'd be really nice to get above 352. Ultimately, you want to get above $4.12. That's where your 618 is. You want to get above there. But you could hold support here at 280. You could hold support at 258. If not, 229 needs to hold. Because if that doesn't hold, you are going to 195. But I can't see you going too much lower than this area here, personally. I can't see you going too much lower than 195 to 183. So you're near the end of it one way or another. If not at the end of it, you're near the end of it. And there is probably more of a chance for this one than the BCHG and LTCN Trust for this one to have its low, I would say. I'm not completely convinced. At this point, I'd probably stand with like the LTCN idea. Maybe it has like some kind of double bottom. That sounds appropriate. But if you hold here and you close above 329, this could look really productive, man. Finding productivity in your fibs like this suggests a reversal. You're at the point in your daily RSI where you could expect to see a reversal at any of these lows at all. I do want to see this one. I didn't measure this one here, high to low. 618. You've been respecting that 618 very well, and you're holding the 236. Man, as long as you're holding this area, there's hope. There really is hope. And if you go below it, that's okay too. That's still okay too. You really could come down and form some kind of double bottom. It's hard. It's really hard to say, especially with the underlying asset going up too. It's the private placement sales, man. But there's no volume, right? There's no volume on this way down. I'm gonna stop hypothesizing and just going back and forth in my head and confusing people. If I am confusing people, I'm sorry. I think it's a perfect time to buy. Even if it does go lower, I think it's a perfect time to buy. I really do think HZEN might be one of the more profitable trusts to invest in from here on through the end of the year, because it's got a lot of upside potential. Whenever this downtrend breaks, whenever this bull flag or consolidation phase, whatever you want to call it, breaks, let me just see, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're on your last leg right now, bro. That really could have been your low. If this is your low, I mean, you're moving up to $16, $27, potentially by the end of the year, if not sometime early next year, like very early, like Q1 next year. You're at 283 now, $16, 27.76, something like that. Zen itself looks like it's good, looks like it wants to keep moving up. It could break out of its accumulation. I was trying to combine accumulation and consolidation together. I don't know why. It's just like my brain was having a break there for a second. But you really could see prices for Zen at $25 or higher by the end of the year. If this thing breaks out of its consolidation phase, if this thing breaks out of its downtrend, absolutely 16 to 27 by the end of the year, or certainly by Q1 of next year, could come into effect. I don't know, man. I'm going to stop talking. I think I've said enough there. So I've given the downside targets. I've given the upside targets. I'm not completely convinced that you'll hold this low, but if you do, that would look really good. I would really like to see you hold this. I'm not convinced you do. I'm more convinced that you will go lower and probably find support somewhere in this area. I would bet, if I had to bet on this, and I wouldn't bet on this, but if I had to, if you had a gun to my head and you wanted me to bet to this, I would say you probably do have one day or a couple days that close below this daily close here, below 245, and that is going to be it, right? Maybe that comes in the form of you close here, right? You close here, maybe you wick down, but you close here, whatever, something like that. But that's going to be it, and then you're going to move up. That's my expectation. So if not, you could be having a higher low right now. You might not even do that. You might forego that, and you're on your way sooner than later to move up to the upper side of this descending range and then breaking out of it. I think this next attempt, if you don't break out of it clean like that, you might consolidate around it and then break out. Either way, right, it's going to be telling, because obviously if you break it, that's going to be telling. But you see how each interaction here, you just straight down, straight down, straight down. You didn't spend too much time up here at all. If you consolidate for a couple weeks or a few weeks up here without moving down, it'll be different behavior. Different behavior begets different actions afterwards, right? So HZEN, probably the more optimistic one, even though it's down 22% this week. I know it's hard to say, right? It's bad compared to the other two, but I think it has a stronger chance to have found its low, in my opinion, than the other two do. Yeah. Anyways, guys, that's it. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I hope it all makes sense. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a comment, right? Leave a comment that helps the channel grow. Definitely leave a like, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being patient, for everybody who's put requests out that I haven't tended to. I'm getting to them, man. I promise you I am. I got nothing else to say. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.